SAP SE SAP Beginner's Guide. Imagine the invisible software that runs the back office of almost every big company you can think of. The system that tracks every order, every paycheck, every shipment, every dollar of inventory. There's a really good chance it's made by a German company called SAP. Today we're going to walk through what SAP actually does, who they compete with, and why the business has grown over the last 5 years. This is educational only, not investment advice, and we're sticking to the business itself, not the stock. So, what does SAP actually do? SAP is the world's largest enterprise software company. Their flagship product is called ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, which is just a fancy term for the central nervous system of a company. ERP software keeps track of finances, inventory, supply chains, employees, and customer orders all in one place. SAP says that roughly 87% of global commerce, meaning 87% of the world's transactions, runs through SAP software at some point in the pipeline. That's an extraordinary footprint. In the most recent quarter, SAP's revenue broke down into 3 buckets. The biggest and fastest growing piece, about 62% of the total, is cloud. This is the subscription business where customers pay every month to access SAP software over the internet. Inside cloud, the star is the Cloud ERP Suite, the modern cloud-hosted version of their core ERP, anchored by a product called S/4HANA. That grew 30% year-over-year on a constant currency basis. Constant currency just means you strip out the effect of moving exchange rates, so you're comparing apples to apples. The second bucket, about 27% of revenue, is called software licenses and support. This is the old-school side of the business, companies that bought SAP software years ago and run it on their own computers, then pay SAP an annual support fee. That bucket is shrinking on purpose as customers migrate to the cloud version. SAP has also announced that extended support for the legacy product ends in 2030, which is a hard deadline pushing customers to move. The third bucket, about 11%, is services, SAP's consultants who help customers install and customize the software. That's also shrinking deliberately, because AI tools are now doing a lot of that implementation work, and SAP's own consultants report saving roughly 1 day per week thanks to AI. A useful number to know. SAP has something called Current Cloud Backlog, or CCB. Think of CCB as signed cloud contracts that haven't been delivered yet, basically money the company has already won but hasn't recorded as revenue. CCB sits at about 21.9 billion euros, up 25%. That gives SAP a couple of years of revenue visibility, which is really valuable when you're trying to understand how durable the business is. So, who does SAP compete with, and how does it win? SAP's main competitors are Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, Workday, and Salesforce. They all sell enterprise software, but SAP is the heavyweight in ERP specifically. So, why does SAP keep winning? It comes down to 3 things. First, deep installed base lock-in. When 87% of global commerce runs on your software, you have a moat. A moat is a competitive advantage, the thing that keeps rivals from catching up. Replacing SAP at a large company is a multi-year, multi-hundred-million-dollar project. Most companies just won't do it. And because that legacy support ends in 2030, those customers have to move somewhere, and the path of least resistance is SAP's own cloud, not a competitor's. Second, and this is the one SAP's CEO talks about the most, is 50 years of accumulated business knowledge baked into the software. SAP has 7.3 million data fields and over 120 standardized business processes built up over decades of working with the world's biggest companies. For AI agents, the autonomous AI programs that companies want to use to run real workflows, to actually do useful work, they need clean, trusted, governed data and an understanding of how a business actually operates. SAP's CEO put it bluntly, "I don't believe there's any other software company who can sort that out." But there's an honest counter-narrative here too. AI is also a threat to SAP. New startups using AI coding tools can build good enough alternatives for accounting, logistics, or workflows much faster and cheaper than before. For brand new customers, companies that don't already have SAP, this is real competition. The moat is strongest with the giant installed base. The moat is weaker when SAP is trying to win a brand new customer from scratch. What are the key drivers for the business over the past 5 years? So why has the business grown over the past 5 years? 3 big forces. The first force is the cloud transformation. SAP is moving the world's largest installed base of enterprise software off the customer's own computers and onto SAP's cloud. Cloud ERP Suite is growing 30% on a constant currency basis, and now more than 70% of new orders are for the public cloud version. There's also a program called RISE with SAP, which is essentially a packaged path for customers to migrate. Big names like ConocoPhillips, Air Liquide, Bristol-Myers Squibb, PayPal, and Hyundai have signed up. This is the single biggest growth engine, and the 2030 maintenance deadline is forcing the rest of the installed base to follow. The second force is margin expansion, meaning the company is keeping more profit out of every euro of revenue. Cloud software is fundamentally a higher margin business than the old license and services model. Cloud gross margin is now around 75%. On top of that, SAP is aggressively using AI internally. Their developers report being about 30% more productive thanks to AI coding tools. Every support ticket is AI-assisted. And SAP has a €2 billion internal efficiency target by 2028. Both forces, mix shift to cloud and internal AI productivity, expand margins. Operating margin has gone from about 27% to 30%, and management has guided for operating expenses to grow at only 80% to 90% of revenue growth, which means margins keep widening as the company scales. The third force is a new growth engine called Business AI and Business Data Cloud. SAP is positioning its ERP as the institutional brain of an enterprise, 50 years of process knowledge that AI agents can plug into. They have a built-in AI assistant called Joule, an ecosystem product called Business Data Cloud that ties together data from SAP and non-SAP systems, and they recently acquired a company called Reltio that handles what's called master data management, basically making sure the AI has clean, accurate data to work with. Already, more than 36,000 customers have adopted some form of business AI. This is the bet that takes SAP from selling per-user subscriptions to also selling consumption-based AI usage on top. To wrap up, so at the simplest level, SAP is the back-office software that quietly runs most of the world's biggest companies, currently in the middle of moving that entire business from on-premise software licenses to a cloud subscription model, with a new AI layer being built on top of 50 years of accumulated process knowledge. As you learn more about SAP, the things to watch are pretty concrete. How fast the cloud ERP suite keeps growing, how customers respond to the new AI products being rolled out at their Sapphire customer conference, and how the legacy support deadline in 2030 plays out as more customers migrate. Again, this has been an educational walkthrough of the business, not investment advice, not a recommendation to buy or sell, and not a take on the stock itself. The goal here was just to give you a clear picture of what SAP actually does and why it has grown, so that when you go deeper, you're starting from solid ground.